Hello and welcome into Catamount Football Weekly with Western Carolina head football coach Kerwin Bell. I'm Daniel Hooker from the Catamount Sports Network. So glad to have you tuned in. Again, we apologize for the issues of not being able to go live with our show, but you'll see everything as it happens right here on location, live from Catamount Jaxe. We appreciate their help all throughout the season. Again, our home each and every Monday night from now through, what do you say, we go all the way through maybe Thanksgiving or so with the shows every Monday night right here at Catamount Jaxe, again just across from the Western Carolina campus. Again, they've got the social house in the front. They got axe throwing in the back. Make sure you make a point to come see Catamount Jaxe, all the fine folks here just across from the Ramsey Center, just across from the Phillips Football Center and Western Carolina University. Make sure you're here each and every Monday night. Again, we apologize for the issues, but any questions you might have, we'll try to get to those as we go forward. Again, each and every show brought to you by Stanberry Insurance, online at stanberry-ins.com. 5 locations to serve you: Silva, Waynesville, Highlands. Also got locations in Clyde and now in Whittier. Again, online, stanberry-ins.com. Daniel Hooker, Kerwin Bell, and Coach, we talked a week ago looking forward to the season. Well, the long-awaited week since the end of November has finally gotten here, and that is game week. It's a blackout. It's our home opener. It's Eastern Kentucky, another team that's receiving votes in the national rankings, coming to Cullowhee. Let's talk about your squad, Coach, and where you feel you guys have gotten to through the course of, obviously, through spring, through preseason fall practice, and now you've been getting ready into game week. You got the game plan installed last week, and you're going back over it this week. Again, you know, it's what they always say, measure twice, cut once, is the old adage.
Well, we've had a great, really good off season. I really believe that. Our guys have worked extremely hard. Coach Bates has had them, all during the spring, and we got spring ball in, had 15 good practices, and got to see some young kids that we had redshirted and guys that we had recruited out of high school, and it's their turn to step up, and we got the chance to see them get a lot of reps in the summer. Come back in the spring, came back in the summer, and added some portal guys on to the guys that we had added on in January. Some older guys that we think is going to help us. We are inexperienced. We're young, probably like a lot of teams are, but we have a high ceiling, and I'm excited about this football team. We may have to grow a little bit, but, man, we got the first game at home. Like you say, blackout, 7 o'clock at night. I think it's going to be a great high-energy game for our football team. The bands, they'll be rocking, and I think our home field advantage is going to help us get that first win. We need to get that first one here at home and dominate this home schedule.
How important it is at winning at home. You talk about being a dominant football team, a place where we've played well traditionally. We struggled a bit finding the wins. We played well at home at times, just didn't get all the wins we wanted. You want to win all your home games and go steal some on the road. To be a good football team, to be a championship caliber football team, you got to take care of your home turf.
Yeah, you do, and especially with our game day experience and the way our fans get out here and support. We need you. Let's pack this place. Let's have a sellout the first game, man. It's all these new things that we've got going on, over $40 million. You need to come. If you're a Catamount fan, you'd love to come watch and experience this game. It'll be a great first game with all the new additions that we put on the football field. And come enjoy a great game and help us win this first game. It's going to be very important for our season to get off to a good start, to dominate home field. And like I said, we should, because of the fans. I know y'all going to be out cheering, and we're going to have this place packed, and it'll be a great game day experience.
Again, tickets on sale now online at catamountsports.com. Go ahead and get your season tickets. We've already surpassed a high for revenue. We're closing in on a total number of season tickets ever sold. Looking forward to that. So, again, it's one of those things you're looking at. Go ahead and get your season tickets. Lock in your seats for all 6 home games. That opens up as we black out Whitmire. Again, be among the first 3,500 fans or so that'll get a blackout T-shirt. Some great sponsors on that. We'll have Thunder Sticks for the Catamount students in the student section, about 4,000 of those, courtesy of the Everson, one of the many sponsors we have across Catamount Athletics. So many that do such a great job helping us, Catamount football season. Then, of course, we got the drone show coming up post-game, presented by Vinoy Construction. Again, our good friends from over at Sky Elements will be on location. Again, our game sponsor, you see Ingles, you see our media partners, 99.9 KISS Country and Star 104.3. Catamount football season, of course, all season long, is also brought to you by our good friends down at Depot Pizza. courtesy and by Foragers Canteen. So a lot of things going on, a lot of sponsors to throw at you, and a lot of folks getting some. What we're able to do is because of them, and of course the fine folks here at Catamount Jaxe are a big part of that. Our coaches shows have been here each week. Our Catamount Football Weekly right here as well. Again, coaches, we look at your team. You talk about the development. Let's start on defense first because you got a brand new defensive coordinator, and that's been a position that's had some revolving in it. You've had several different guys that have filled that role. I think this is the fourth one. I think in the 6 years you've been here. Talk about what Nick Revese has brought in with trying to make that go with your defense and where you're looking to make some of those improvements. Some of the questions coming in about the improvements on defense. Where you're looking to make those strides.
Well, I think since the first day he stepped on the field here and came here on campus, him and assistant coaches he's brought has really built a great relationship with these young kids. And we got a lot of young ones. A lot of guys graduated last year or got into the portal. And so Kim Moore is a great veteran that we got back on defense, but really nobody else has really proven it at this level, right? But, man, I love the enthusiastic attitude that these coaches bring. And how well they teach. They're very simplistic in the way they teach, but very complex. When you see it against the offense, it's very complex, the things they do. And so I think that our kids are really buying into it. They right now they're on board. And I think you'll see a defense that flies around that will hopefully, go play and not give up easy points. We want to make it tough on the offense. And I feel like that's what you're going to see out of this defense. You're going to see a defense that makes it hard, but also turns the ball over. That's what they've been doing against us in spring and now in the summer. And I think you'll see that on Saturday coming up this weekend.
And you got to think with the way your offense has been, the prolific nature that your offense has had since you've been here. You talk about every year being over the 4,000, close to 5,000 yards over of offense the last 2 years, school record a season ago. Throwing the football predominantly. We'll talk about the offense and the immersion and the movement of our run game going into this year. But you really look at it, you got to think that would help your defense. You always said iron sharpens iron. Going against our offense has got to make your defense step up. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty long practice sessions.
Yeah, and you can just see the big improvements our defense has made since the first day of spring when they seen all the motion and the shifts and they were trying to install the new defense and the communication that it takes to happen back there on the back end and even up front in the front seven. So they have got so much smoother with that now. Now it becomes second nature. It's almost like, you know the back of your hand as well as the back of your hand, the defense. And so I'm really excited just that we're going into this first game, and I feel like our defense, even though we got a new coordinator, we really are up to speed. Our players know exactly what to do, the checks they need to make. And like you say, they've had to go against an offense that makes you do a bunch of that stuff. I mean, we probably make more people than we play. Anybody else we play don't have to check as much as you have to check against our offense because all the shifts and the motions and the boundaries, formations, the speed that we go sometimes. So it's really got them guys ready, and I think they'll go out and, the big thing about defense is getting lined up. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're gapped out sound. Make sure you're sound in your coverages. And then if they complete balls, listen, you're going to complete balls nowadays, man. Guys are good. And so there's going to be a lot of completions, but you just tackle the ball. And then when they throw one errant, then you pick it off and get points that way. So defense is the kind where you just bend, don't break. Make sure you make it hard on the offense. And I can see that when they've gone against our offense, the spring, man, we were having some easy touchdowns early because of miscommunication. But since the spring and going into the summer and now in camp, they have made it very competitive with our offense. So I'm excited to see what they can do against another opponent.
You talked about during the off season. I think we did during spring ball, and we did some early on during the summer. Some of the times you and I have talked, you said we might be a little bit smaller in some areas than what we have been in the past. But you think we've ramped up the athleticism at the same time. So you've gone a little smaller. A wise man once said, at this level, you're either going to get big and slow or small and fast. Because if you're big and fast, you're probably not coming to this level.
Yep.
But when you look at it, how do you look at your defense and say, yeah, we might be a little bit smaller in the back end, might not have that junk in the trunk, so to speak, especially along the defensive line, but those guys have been very athletic and making moves.
Well, we're 270 to 290 across there. We don't have to – last year we were 330 and 300, and we had some good players, but listen, I said this year I don't care what the kid looks like. We've made a living doing that on offense with receivers, and and the quarterbacks who maybe don't look like the prototypical guy. He's not 6'3", but we get just good football players, and that's why we really focused on our D-line. We wanted guys who are productive, not guys who just sort of move around. They're 300-something pounds, but they don't make any tackles. We wanted guys who are productive, and we think we got a bunch of guys that have been productive now. We gotta rotate a lot of guys. They'll be hot, and the one thing I like about that D-line up front is that we got some depth there. We've had some injuries earlier in camp, but we're getting them all back healthy. And I'm telling you, we got 13, 14 guys that can play on that defensive front, and we're going to try to rotate and keep them fresh and play to our strength, which is speed, which is, our defense coordinator making great calls and putting them in really good positions to go be successful. And we got to play off those strengths, and I think we will by keeping guys fresh.
Again, you talk about that defense here with Kerwin Bell, head football coach at Western Carolina, getting ready for the blackout game against Eastern Kentucky to open up this schedule. And you mentioned being able to rotate a bunch of guys. Might not be as important on that night game, but definitely you start talking week 2 down in Buies Creek. You're going to need that afternoon game. You're going to need the depth to be able to rotate guys through when you start looking at that. Speaking of some guys that have rotated through your linebacking core and guys that are athletic, really been impressed with what Josh Collins, a local product converted from running back into linebacker, been impressed with what he's done, been very impressed with the continued improvement and continued progress of Hank Bodine, but also the guys that are back there. You got, again, Marco Paterno is a fifth-year guy transferring in. You got Blue Monroe back from injury that has made plays. Ryan McInnes, who was making plays last year kind of behind a Hayward McQueen and that second kind of wave of linebackers, but those guys now stepping up and having to be the guys.
Well, we've got 5 or 6 veterans there that can all play, and I'll tell you what, we'll rotate all 5 or 6 of them. There'll be, Blue will probably start, and Josh might start there too at the wheelbacker, but man, like you say, McKenzie comes in. He's can flat out play. He's playing really good this year for us. Ryan is, and then on the other side you got Marco and you got Hank. I mean, there's 3 middle linebackers with Blue that can all play. So we're going to rotate all them guys. They're going to play a lot of special teams. But we really feel good about our depth at that linebacker position. We think all them guys can play, and they all will play as we get into the game.
Well, you start talking about the cornerback position, and you look at some of those guys in your secondary that have moved on, guys that have gone other places. You got one guy right now that's contending for a starting spot up at the University of Kentucky in the SEC that spent some time here in Cullowhee. But what are you looking at your cornerback positions, trying to rotate guys there, kind of bringing in, you mentioned Ken Moore. We'll throw Ken and Nas, 2 guys that play that spur position. But you got to like your safeties. You got some guys that will go hit hard and make big plays. We saw that during the scrimmages, making big hits downfield. What are you looking at in your secondary?
Well, we got some good corners. I like the corners, man. We got Andre Jackson. We got in off the portal, who was a really good player as a freshman, and is transferred in. Jaden is a guy that we recruited out of Hot Cornelius. His dad played at the University of Florida, was a really good football player. And Jaden's going to be a really good football player. We redshirted him last year, and we think he's got a big, bright future here. Marseille is a guy we brought in last year, and he was injured a little bit last year, but he's back healthy. He's a big corner. We got 2 or 3 other big corners that are both about 6'1", 6'2". So love that position. I also love the way we improved the safety position as far as size. We got some guys, Braylon Jones, Nakoma, Duke we got out of, Appalachian State, that's from Florida. All these guys, Julian Quintera. So we've got some good players who are all at that 6'1", 200-pound range. Last year we played with 5'9", 180-pound guys. So we've got so much bigger across the safety position. I think that's going to really help, especially in the run game, because you spill so much. When people run the ball, you try to spill it to the outside. Well, when you spill it to the outside, you got to have corners that tackle, and you got to have big safeties that can come up like linebackers. And we got some safeties that'll come up and flat short hit you. We had them the same thing last year, but they're just bigger and they're stronger, and I think they're going to hold up a little bit better.
Well, my dad always told me if you hit them low enough, you hit them in the legs, they can't run. That's what I was always told. That's what. But looking at defense, but good to hear again around the board. We got a lot of different players that are going to be stepping up. I think I've likened it, and I've said the same thing, and really about our offense, because we've lost so much talent over the last couple of years, guys going to bigger and better places, so to speak. But I really felt like we've got a bunch more talent. Our talent level continues to be on the rise. There's just guys that nobody's heard of. They're guys that our fan base may not know. We've seen them in practice. We've seen them in scrimmages. We've seen them do things as red shirts behind the guys that we're starting. So you may not have household names, but you might have more talent.
Yeah. Well, and we bring back two guys that were injured last year, didn't play hardly any for us. AJ didn't play any with an ACL, had to have surgery and missed the whole year. The year before, I think he caught 60 or 70 balls.
Yeah, led the
SoCon. And then Jai Boyd is a kid who probably would have been all first team. I think he could have been first team all conference last year. Going into the first game, pulled his hammy and was out the whole year basically. May have played in one game middle of the year and then pulled the other one. So he's healthy now. So you just add those two. I mean, they both, to me, are all conference players. We're getting them back. MJ is a kid out of Live Oak, Florida, who, man, played as a true freshman last year.
I hear some good football players come out of Live Oak,
we're pretty
Florida.
good down there,
Yeah.
Mayo, Live Oak. But I tell you what, he is special. He is special. And then we got a lot, like you said, a lot of freshmen, redshirt freshmen, that we've hit on all of them. They all going to be players here. It's exciting to see the talent level out there. What we got to do is just bring them along slowly. They're going to help us as far as depth and things like that. But, man, maybe by mid-season, 2 or 3 of them are so talented they may be in the mix. So it's exciting about that receiver group. We got a good range of just really quality players. And I love the way they're competing. And we got some guys who can really do a lot of special things with the football.
Coach, again, we mentioned some of these questions coming in. Want to make sure we get to some of those. A little bit different of a question here. Again, we're opening up the new Western Sky Box, the Phillips Football Center, all the rooms that are named. Again, all the donors that have made such a big contribution. A big part of Fill the Western Sky, comprehensive campaign. Athletics was just a portion of that. It was such a university-wide campaign with our donorship, our student body, our state of North Carolina, everybody coming together to make this happen. But again, Michael McNicholas asked, we spent about $40 million on the project with the new field, the new press box, the new chancellor's area, the new field turf, new lighting, updated video board. Because if you had a choice, would you keep the upgrades or take that money for NIL for a year? A little bit different pots. It's a little bit different. I think it's really one of those things that you got to have. To sound cliche, it's both. You got to have kind of both of those. You got to have the NIL, but you also have to have the facilities to kind of keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, you need it all. But no, NIL is important. And there's a lot of teams now, 4 or 5 teams in our conference that's really making a big effort toward that. Our AD, Kyle, is doing a great job of upping ours, and we're trying to, be able to be able to have something to be able to give to kids, but we're still on the low end of the table. But I'm so proud that we're trying to catch up. But that is happening in FCS football now. It's seriously happening there where NILs don't make a big difference. But I also know that our student body helped fund that west side.
Yeah.
And our donors, they all wanted to see. That old side was condemned basically. I mean, wasn't it? I heard you couldn't really. I know you was up there, but.
I thought I was condemned, but that was just me. But no, I'm not qualified to say that.
The student fees and everybody helped out. I think when they come to these games now, and the video board and the lighting systems, just will be that extra game day experience that our students who gave a lot to help us with this, and our donors, I think it's just will add to our game day experience there, which I think is for east of the Mississippi. I say is the best FCS game day experience east of it, Mississippi. I mean, all the Montana schools, they can have what they have, but anything east of the Mississippi, we've got a great game day, and I think this is just going to enhance it. Now, let's keep building. Let's get a weight room. Let's really do something with NIL. But we got a chance to continue to build this program. It's just going to take us putting our efforts into it and getting everybody involved. And I think just by our ticket sales, we're way ahead of the last few years, ticket sales. I think people are excited. And now let's just get a whole division that we got. The vision is to go compete for a national championship here. Go win the SoCon. I know everybody wants to win. We got to win the SoCon, but we got to go compete for a national championship. And as we keep improving with these facilities and NIL, I flat sure believe we can get it done here. So let's just continue with that thought and just continue to work to try to reach those goals.
Again, we got more questions funneling in here. We'll get to those as we go forward. Take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll flip the script. We'll go to the other side of the ball. Talk about the offense. I think Kerwin Bell likes talking offense. I think he'll enjoy that part. Already starting to smile a little bit thinking about it. But we'll talk about the Catamount offense, our special teams. We'll turn our attention to Eastern Kentucky coming up again Saturday night here at E.J. Whitmire Stadium, Bob Waters Field. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Catamount Football Weekly live from Catamount Jaxe. Back after this.
Football is the first ever drone show at Catamount Football. It's coming up August 29th, and it's all up to us.
Let's do this.
I'll just come back later.
You saw nothing. Catamount Nation, are you ready? Fly, my pretty little things, fly.
Again, don't forget, coming up this Saturday night, it all gets underway. 7 o'clock is when the game starts, but all-day festivities going on. And you make sure you're in your seats early for the Pride of the Mountains Marching Band pregame. Make sure you stick around afterwards for the drone show presented by Vinoy Construction. Again, Sky Elements will be in the house with their drones. Looking forward to that. Got the post-game show for the marching band all going on. And in between, we're going to have one heck of a football game with Eastern Kentucky. And, Coach, you've talked about that game being the proverbial rubber match, so to speak, in terms of the games we've played against Walt Wells and his crew. And both teams coming into the season with high expectations and high aspirations, both receiving votes in the early season polls and from the coaches and the media.
Yeah, they're a good football program. We played them twice since I've been there. We're 1-1. They got us right at the end of my first year here. And then we go up there in a monsoon. You remember that? It was flooding the whole game, and we found a way to win that one late in the game. So it's been two good games. They're well coached. He's a really good football coach. They're going to be physical. They're going to try to run the football at us. They got two big backs that are very impressive. So, we're going to be tested right off the bat how physical and how dominant of a front we're going to have against the run. And I love the things that Coach Nick does as far as the run game and defending the run. So it's going to be a good job for him to really hone in on what we got to do to slow those guys down. And then offensively, we got to make sure, they're not in man-to-man blitz situations. We love those things, but, when we get people in man coverage or they blitz us, we love those kind of things. But if we do get it, we got to be able to handle it like we always have. And but it's going to be a physical football game, and we got to bring our very best, and we got to have our crowd here, full house, and get this first victory.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Again, Braden Latham's the outstanding running back for EKU. We'll talk about him. Caden Smith is one of those linebackers that I'm sure your offensive staff has circled to make sure they know where he is at on the field at all times. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year out in the United Athletic Conference. But, Coach, you started talking offense earlier before the break. You mentioned a couple of your wide receivers back from injury. Ja Boyd, who people haven't seen a whole lot from. I think one of the first balls that he got thrown when he came back was a stretch the field type of play. That's what he's able to do. Then you got old Reliable talking about zero. There's some things, there's death, there's taxes, and that zero is going to be open somewhere on the field.
That's
and
right.
all the things. And only got to see him a little bit in some of the early scrimmages here, but, again, he picked up right where he left off and looked good doing it. But look at some of those guys around those top two receivers. You've got some skill all over the field.
Yeah, we do, and I love the backs. You go to the backs. We're at 208, 205. Derek is at 220, so 215. So we're so much bigger than we were in the past. Very explosive, too. Josh Perry, I think, is going to have a fantastic year for us. He's a 208-pound back who can take it the distance at any time. And so all of them catch the ball really well out of the backfield, which is what we utilize a lot. So love that. Like I said, the depth at receivers, we're deeper from 1 to 10 than we've probably been since I've been here. Now, that says a lot, I know. But we've got some guys that hadn't inexperienced probably from 5 to 10. But, boy, them 5 to 10, that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all very talented, as talented as we've ever had around here. So we got to get them guys caught up as far as some experience. But we've got a lot of depth there to play with, and I think it'll help our quarterback. Just, again, we try to surround him with as good as explosive players as we can, because that creates a lot of advantages for a quarterback. And so we try to create that for him, and I know he'll have a great year.
Well, the funny thing is that you talk about the depth, and I've joked with Corey Headley. I said, all that said, you still only have one football. But the thing I love about that position group, quite honestly, and with Corey and one of our position previews talked about that service mentality. They're not worried about what I'm getting. They're not worried about what we're getting. They're worried about what the team's getting. And they're also getting out in front of blocks, blocking downfield, making sure that when Josh Perry or Jadarius Dobie or any of those running backs, Marlon Cochran, break into that secondary, they've got a hat on a hat downfield, making an opportunity further downfield, understanding that to be a good offense, you got to be balanced. To be balanced, you got to catch the ball, but you also got to be downfield blocking.
Yeah. Yeah, and Coach Hadley, Corey's done a really good job. as our receiver coach. He took over in January and done a really good job of just getting them guys to buy in, like you say, to all parts of the game. Receivers sometimes they're prima donnas. They just want to catch the ball and look good and score touchdowns.
I thought that was quarterbacks, Coach.
Nah, receivers are worse than quarterbacks.
Okay.
But no, he's really made a priority to really think about what else can you do to help our football team. And RPOs got so big in the last 6-7 years that receivers never blocked. They ran routes. So.
Yeah.
But we are still RPO some, but we'll also ask them to go down there and get dirty and block. And also in the screen game, they got to be able to block on the perimeter. So receivers have become, you got to be a physical receiver if you want to be successful at the college level nowadays. And like I say, I like the guys that we have 1 through 10 as good as anybody in the country.
And if number 0 on offense is not a good enough safety valve, when you talk about A.J. Colombo always being open, finding a way out of that slot position to make plays, you got some tight ends that were able to do that as well. And you guys have utilized the tight end, I think, as much, if not more, during preseason this year. Jake Young, a guy coming back from an injury, been kind of hampered a little bit during the preseason. I don't know if you have an update on Jake as he goes forward, but that tight end room is really contributing. And a guy like Bodie Burns has really stepped up, changed his body in the offseason. He went from looking like a wide receiver to looking like a big tight end now.
Man, Burns has got so much potential. He's almost 6'5". Great range. His range of catch radius is unbelievable. Can really run too. Now he's up to 240-something pounds. He's nasty. He's very physical, and now he's got the body. He was at 220 last year, so he's big tall receiver trying to block. But now he's a true tight end. And then Jake's had a few issues with some health, with some pull quad a little bit. But now last week we got him 100%. He's working back into it to get in shape, and so he'll be ready for the first game. But you trot them two out there at tight end, you got two weapons that can both catch the football and block in the run game. So I'm excited about those two.
Well, Jake was excited to come back into this offensive system because he said when he went to Charlotte, they didn't utilize him as well as they probably could have. He is a hidden gem with being able to stretch your field from that tight end position. I love seeing him run the tight end streak. I love the tight end drag across the middle, but I love seeing him out as a lead blocker and that fullback mentality that he's able to do. Paul Hartman, another guy that's in that same mentality. Yep. You've got a deep room.
Cole Craddock, our walk-on man, has done really well, and Waddell, we think he's going to be really good. He's probably a year away. He's still about 220. His knees get bigger, but, man, he can really run. He's really athletic, long. So we got a good room there, and but them two will lead the way, and hopefully we keep both of them healthy.
Well, before we talk about those quarterbacks, Coach, you got to have the guys up front in the trenches making things happen. You talked about it last week. We've had some guys that have been dinged up early on in camp, but that breeds opportunity. It's the old Wally Pipp mentality. It breeds opportunity. Guys have a chance to step up. Might have got some much-needed reps for some younger guys during camp with some of those guys being off to the side.
Yeah, we had about 4 of them hurt, for a week or so in camp, but they're back, which is really good. Maybe one might not be back, but the rest of them will be back. But we were up to maybe about 5 of our top 8 was out for a little while, for about a week. But we got them all back. They all practiced last week, and that was good to see. But like you say, we also have found a couple of young guys that's going to be players for us. BK's even told me, and I believe this also, he said, Coach, I think we got 8 or 9 that we can go win a championship with. So we're pretty deep in that area. I really like the guys that we have. We're big. We can go with a huge line. We can go with some smaller athletic linemen. So we got a versatility there that we can play off of. And we're going to continue to, whatever our matchups are, we're going to try to put our best 5 out there. But right now, I think we're getting healthy. We're as healthy as we've ever been now. It's going into our game week, and so I look for them guys to come out and have a really good game.
Yeah, and I really think you read the preview that BK talked about. One of the things he wanted from his guys this year was being versatile on all those position previews online at catamountsports.com. He says we don't have positions. We train offensive linemen, guys that can be in every different position. And I think at one point he had 8, maybe 9 guys that you talked about that had rotated at center alone. And I think that's something to have different guys. And, again, he goes, that's a position that's probably one of the most dreaded and hated among the offensive linemen because there's so much more added. You're not having to worry about, all right, where am I pulling, who am I hitting? you got to get the snap first, and then all of that.
Yeah.
But you're also the guy setting the line there in the front. But you talk about some of those guys coming in. Who are some guys that have stood out for you? You know, you've got the known commodities. You know what you're going to get out of a Stephen Hamby. He's been that solid guy last couple of years. Has worked his way into the lineup, preseason all-conference, and Zach Watson. You've seen some of those guys come along. You look at Renard. You look at Sucre. You got a bunch of guys that have played a lot of snaps.
Yeah.
But now are the guys that are being counted on, not just being the guys to go in and give me a snap here and there.
Well, here's Renard and Sucre. You know, they're like Hamby. I mean, they're all about 6'5", about 320, 330. I mean, you talking about 4 or 5 guys that can walk out there and be mountains. They're huge. And then you got those more athletic guys like, you know, you got Zach Watson and all them guys. We got a kid, Braxton.
You got Brayson and
Brayson. Brayson and his brother Aaron, who started 29 games at Gardner-Webb. Andrew Threet also started at left tackle. So they both come in, one left guard, one left tackle. We've had a lot of talent with them too. They played a lot of football, and they got both. One pulled a hammy a little bit, one had a little foot problem, but they're both healthy now. So we've got a different combination of guys who we're looking to continue to grow with us, but then we've added some depth through the portal, and I think it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, young guys like Cole Cook that are just
they're
giants.
just waiting for their time.
Well, you got giants that are out there, and that's always good to see. And Coach, let's look at the quarterback position. I think as we look at all the offensive positions here, we've talked offensive line and tight end, wide receiver. You mentioned some of the running backs that we've got, but quarterback's kind of where it all starts. Some of the questions have come in. I think Joe Henry asked the question, have you settled on a starter? You've got 3 guys through camp that are really separated in that room. Out of the 6 guys, I think all 6 have got all kinds of talent. Watching them throw, Patrick Harding was the guy that came in early in the spring, was able to get some reps as a true freshman. You got Isaac Lee coming in. He's the guy that saw some time a year ago, probably had the leg up going into spring just because of having been here last year. But Lex Thomas has come along and really been impressive as well, the transfer from NC State. What do you see out of that room?
Well, Patrick was a great surprise. I mean, here's a walk-on. We didn't have a scholarship offering, but we really liked him out of Zephyr Hills, Florida. Came in January early, and boy, he probably caught on our offense faster than any other quarterback I've ever had. He just, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on playing quarterback.
You're putting Patrick in the Rogan Wells type of mentality.
Well,
I mean, that's Rogan was the guy that when you set the bar.
Yeah,
Rogan was that guy that you talked about. Is Patrick picking it up like a Rogan?
Well, he's pretty close. He's
Wow.
pretty close. And then, you know, our true freshman that came in June, and I think both of them, Jake Morrow and who's the other one? Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb is both of them's got a lot of talent, so they're a little bit behind though. But man, that makes our room strong. A lot of depth there. But the top 2 are Lex and Isaac, and you know, it's been like I told him today. I met with him today, so this is right off the press, man. I named Lex the starter.
Okay.
And I think he's just a little bit ahead as far as what we're looking for, and as far as leadership, and not really leadership. They're both great kids, man, unbelievable guys. And but just a little bit maturity as far as you tell he's been there a little bit longer. Isaac, you know, is a young guy, man. He came here and really hadn't played much, so I think that just that little bit of experience I really like in Lex, and he's done everything I asked for. Listen, he's completed 70-something% of his passes throughout all of spring, summer, and fall camp. His touchdown to interception ratio is like 25-4. 25 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Isaac's right there at like 20-9. So, but high completion percentage, great touchdown to interception ratio, which tells you they make great decisions. But both of them will give you something that a lot of people can't do. Usually when you have a smart guy who can really read defenses, really can process and get the ball into your playmaker's hands, a lot of them guys can't run very good. That's why they're so good at processing things, because they don't move that great. Well, we got 2 guys that can both do that at a high level, and I think Lex does it just a little bit higher level. But as far as the explosive runs, man, Isaac can go outrun everybody on the field, and Lex ain't far behind. So we got 2 guys that can extend plays, that can create havoc for a defense. And so we're going to go with Lex as our starter. He's my guy, man. And like I told him, I believe in him. He's got the game the whole way. He's the man. But I told Isaac I want him to be ready just in case Lex turns an ankle or something like that. We'll knock on wood, but he's got to be ready like a starter, and he's got to prepare that way now. And, man, Lex was, Coach, I'm ready to do whatever it is to help this team win. That's the kind of person he is. And so I think we got two of the best quarterbacks in this conference by far on this football team.
Yeah, and I really like watching the co-opetition. It's cooperative competition, a phrase that Darrell Waltrip, I think, coined many, many years ago, talking about some NASCAR racing, but talking about how you got to be cooperative, but you're also competitive. You want to go win that starting job, but you're the first guy when they come off the field. You're the first guy up to them, and I think I've seen that from both of those guys. Again, as we talk with Western Carolina head football coach Kerwin Bell here on Catamount Football Weekly, live from Catamount Jaxe each and every Monday night. Hope you're back here with us again, looking at this team. And we'll take one more quick time out. When we get back, we'll wrap it up real quick with a look at Eastern Kentucky. Again, Monday nights are now practice nights for Coach, so we're going to be cognizant of that each and every Monday. But, again, any more comments coming in? Kyle Kessler dropped us a note here. We'll get to that on the other side of the quick time out as we look at EKU. We look at 2026, again, the season that's presented by Depot Pizza, by Foragers Canteen. Of course, back here live on location from Catamount Jaxe is Catamount Football Weekly, presented by Stanberry Insurance, continues right after this.
Ooh, boys, the first ever drone show at Catamount Football is coming up August 29th, and it's all up to us.
Let's do this.
I'll just come back later.
You saw nothing. Catamount Nation, are you ready? Fly, my pretty little things, fly!
Back here at Catamount Jaxe to wrap up our first edition of Catamount Football Weekly, live from Catamount Jaxe, just across the campus from Western Carolina University. We could see the stadium. You could hear the band practicing, Coach. They were on the field. You guys got the field. Yeah, you got the field tonight. They had it this afternoon. We're sitting here, had everything turned down for a moment. Heard something in the distance, and it was the sound of the Pride of the Mountains getting ready for game day. Make sure you're in your seats early. Again, you want to be one of the first 3,500 fans through the gates to get one of those blackout T-shirts coming up on Saturday night. Again, the first 4,000 Catamount students will get the Thunder Sticks. Again, all kinds of newness to see. The Western Skybox, the Phillips Football Center there, aptly named, with our donorship coming in. Make sure you get your tickets online at catamountsports.com. Go ahead and get season tickets. You don't want to miss any of the games coming up. We got a blackout. We got a whiteout coming up against Presbyterian. We got Tennessee Tech coming to town for the first time in conference play. As you look at the schedule, you got Chattanooga coming up, homecoming. You got Wofford coming to town, and then we'll go all purple for that last game against the Seminole Bulldogs as we ramp up and get ready for playoffs at that point. Again, look at that home schedule. Again, all in purple there. Make sure you're in Catamount country for each and every one of those games. Go ahead and get your season tickets. They're going fast. The good seats, again, some still available, but again, it's getting really piecemeal underneath that Western Skybox. And again, looking forward to being there. So much to see. Looking forward to having a lot of our donors from Fill the Western Sky get a comprehensive campaign that covered not just athletics, but the entirety of our university. And we'll have those folks back this weekend to say thank you as we look at the new building. But again, Coach, first and foremost, as we look at it, Kyle Kessler, a former Catamount football player in his own right, lives down in the Sunshine State, lives down in Orlando, had the question. He goes, all right, give me three things to get off to a good start. You know, you got to have a good start to be able to go on, get off to a good start to a season, to find your way to postseason. What are three things you see you got to do to get off to that good start before we talk about EKU?
Well, as far as the game's concerned, you know, I think the line of scrimmage is where we're all up sort of trying to figure it out, right? They had a really good front seven. They lost almost all those guys, though, which is good. They were really good last year, talented. They do have a couple of really good guys back. You talked about linebacker, the nose guard's really good. So how do we do line of scrimmage as far as both sides? Defensively, can we stop their run game? It's going to be a physical, downhill, run it down your throat type of night, I believe. I think they're going to test us and see if they can do that. And then I think on offense, can we, start this season running the football with some effectiveness? I really believe we're in a better shape than we've ever been with our bigger backs, our bigger line that come off the ball and that are more physical than we've had around here. So that's going to be two keys right there. And the last one I think is turnovers always, right? For early in the game, you got some inexperienced players on both sides of the ball. And they do also who can take care of the football and stay away from the crucial turnovers. And I think if you look at that, both, can you stop the run? Can we run it? And then turnovers, I think that's three areas that we've got to really be concerned about, make sure that we focus in on that. And we got to win those battles early to have success.
And a tough early season schedule we saw just a moment ago. I mean, EKU, a team that's contending in that UAC, they were picked fourth in their conference, kind of like us here in the SoCon, coming off a 5-7 season a year ago. Maybe a little disappointing in that league, but that is a tough conference. It's tough from the travel standpoint. It's a big conference in terms of the distance between some of those schools. And when you have some of those schools like a Tarleton State and teams like that, we've seen in our conference have gone and played, and it's tough, and that's a tough league. We talked about how tough the SoCon is from top to bottom. I think the UAC is another one of those difficult conferences. But you mentioned, again, Braden Latham, that running back that's coming in. You mentioned, or we talked about Caden Smith, the linebacker. Again, you also have got there in that secondary, and find his name here, Derek Taylor, another one of those all-conference. 4 guys named preseason all-UAC, did one team. First team offense, first team defense, and then specialist, and Quade Luganville in there as the long snapper. So again, 4 guys from EKU that were preseason all conference. You're going to get a tough battle. We've seen it the last 2 years, or last 2 times we've played them, once there, once here, and now the rubber match again. Just trying to find a way. And again, it's not going to be easy.
And it's so, really, just out of all the years I've coached football, this is the one year where I'm like, I don't know who, you just don't know how we match up. And
right.
This will be interesting. I'm going to be just like all you fans, man, trying to figure out that first snap, how we match up at the line of scrimmage, because that's going to be big. Like I said earlier, offensively and defensively, how do we match up? We feel like we've made some improvements on our offensive line, got bigger, stronger, more physical attitude, but we got to show that on Saturday night. And then defensively, I love the way he moves people and gets his D-line, in positions to make plays. And I think with our 5 or 6 linebackers, I told you, that are all experienced and got a lot of veteran experience back there, I think that's going to really help us, along with those big safeties that can come down and fill, in the run game. So we'll just see. They're well coached. They're going to bring their best game. And we got to have our crowd. That's the one great thing. We're at home, man. We ain't got to go to their place. They get to come here, and we get our home field advantage. And I think it's going to be electric. I really do. I think, man, y'all Catamount fans, if y'all ain't like football, I think it's just going to be electric. All the new stuff going on.
Well, new lights,
new video board. You're going to see some crazy stuff out there, and I think it's going to be fun. So come out and really get behind us this first game, because we're going to need that home field advantage to get this done.
Yeah, and I think, you talked about Coach Wells being an offensive line guy. You're an offensive guy. He's an offensive-minded guy, and I think with him being the offensive-minded guy from the offensive line perspective, I think that's where he wants to go out and assert authority early, is up front and try to, like you said, run the football. Again, we'll see how it all plays out, but it looks like a good matchup on paper to open your year. A good test when you start talking about looking down the line at winning a Southern Conference championship. I feel like this is one of those very comparable matchups. Want to find a way for the SoCon to win some of these out-of-conference games when you start talking about how we rank nationally as well.
Yeah, it's a good non-conference game for sure. And we got Campbell next week, who's we're 1-1 against them the last couple of years. So, we got to, I believe our ceiling is as high as we've ever had here, as far as when I look at the players, the depth, the talent that we have. Now, there's been the last 2 or 3 years we've started here, okay, because we had a lot of experience back. We knew what we had back. We sort of knew where we'd be, and now this year we probably starting here. So we're starting a little lower just because of inexperience, and we got to get guys to grow up and get them in the realization that you're playing a real football game, college football game, and you got to grow up and make plays. But I love that. I love that our ceiling's so high. We just got to keep working our butt off every day, and to get where we want to be. Because I think if we can get close to that ceiling, man, we're going to have a really good season.
Yeah, talk about working your butt off. Our production staff, we're going to work their butt off to figure out our issues. We had audio issues last week to start the show. Had some audio issues today.
I
which
had a
forced
penalty
us.
today.
We did. Yeah, we had a false start.
Start.
Maybe even a personal foul. Yeah,
I'm about to run y'all after the game.
well, I think
Personal foul.
I had to get a new headset because I Kerwin Bell the other one. That's what we're calling it now. As long as Andrew's there, if Drew's there to catch it, we're okay.
Okay.
But when Kerwin Bell steps between the white lines on game day, no headset is safe, as it turns out. But again, Coach, wish you the best of luck this weekend. And we'll talk each and every Monday night right here. But again, fans, one last time, Blackout Whitmire, looking forward to having the home opener to open up our 2026 season. Again, our season presented by Depot Pizza, by Foragers Canteen down in Dillsboro. Again, we're back here every Monday night with Catamount Football Weekly live from Catamount Jaxe. And again, all these presented by Stanberry Insurance, the 5 locations. Let them give you a quote on your insurance need. Anything that you want covered, they can give you a quote to get it covered. Again, 5 locations: Silva, Waynesville, Highlands, Clyde, and now in Whittier. And again, we'll be back here at Catamount Jaxe. Make sure you stop by here when you're in town this weekend to watch the Catamounts in Eastern Kentucky. Coach, wish you the best of luck. Again, new black uniforms. We'll have that preview, that debut. We've been holding on to something. All the newness, all the new toys. We try not to let them all out of the bag just yet, but that'll be coming this week to be able to see that ahead of the game. Get your tickets online at CatamountSports.com.
Man, he said about that. People, they wear black. Man, don't you want to come look tough, or listen, do you look tough, or whatever?
I hear it's slimming. That's what I go for.
Yeah, you make you look slim. That's true. I'm going to have to wear all black. But, no, that and then our black uniforms
They're
are
tight.
popping. Oh,
Yeah, the guys really
that's
like
why I
it.
think it's just going to be electric. If you're a fan, man, or you graduate from here, come to this game. And you won't. Women, if you don't like football, you'll love just all the things that's going to happen in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
and the uniforms, they'll still be electric.
There's
So
a lot of stuff going on in and around this home
Yep.
opener. It's kept us hopping. That's where we're heading now. He's heading to
I
practice.
got to go to practice.
I'm going back to the office. For next time, for the coach, I'm Daniel Hooker saying so long from Catamount Jaxe. We'll catch you back here for Catamount Football Weekly right back here next Monday night.